Jason, what was it about this job that when this door opened up that you wanted to go through it?
Yeah, it was an interesting situation, and obviously it all happened quick, but ultimately for me, it was about Coach Early and somebody that I've worked with before and trusted, and then you throw in obviously Texas A&M and the people here and the baseball tradition. It was just too perfect of a combination of things to ignore, and my family was excited, and once they said yes, then we were all in.
I know you worked with Coach Early before. What was kind of your how would you describe him as a coach before you got here and that connection that y'all had?
Yeah, I worked with him, a couple of years ago, so I think that was the 20 and 21 season. He was kind of a younger assistant and hitting guy, and we just agreed on a lot of things, but the main thing is kind of the way we like to treat the players and being a player's coach, but also being able to hold them accountable and make sure that there's a standard that they live up to, but also doing it the right way and doing it with compassion and empathy and making sure we treat each kid as an individual. And he agrees with all those things, and those are that's the way I like to approach people as well. So that was the main thing that I really kind of stuck out, and kind of as I left that place, even my wife and I talked about it at certain points, like I think Mike and I will eventually be in the same dugout at some point again together, and that would be great. So there were a lot of things, but those were kind of the key factors.
What are your early takeaways from this pitching staff as far as strengths and also areas for improvement?
Yeah, it's got a chance to be a really good pitching staff. I mean, the talent there is as good as any staff that I've coached. And it starts at the top with Ryan Prager, obviously, somebody that's set the tone for this place for a couple of years now. And then you add in, Lampkin and some transfers with Patton and Grant Cunningham, and then some of the guys coming back that got a little bit of experience last year, but are incredibly talented, the Luke Jacksons and the Isaac Mortons and some of those guys. So the talent is here. They've been coached well. They've been, obviously had a great season last year. So I'm trying to come in and help where I can help and stay out of the way when I need to stay out of the way.
Did you have any conversations with Prager, when he first came over and just with his decision process of deciding to come back or moving on?
Yeah, of course. Got the job before the draft. So when I got here, it was kind of assumed, I think, that he was going to go in the top 3 rounds and probably get the money that he wanted and move on to pro ball. So, but if you know him, he's a yard rat. He's here every day and working every day. So we bumped into each other. And then as I got closer to the draft, we talked a little bit more, and he kind of came up and said, hey, this isn't a done deal. And so we started talking philosophy and how we would handle him and all those things. And he liked what he heard. And I don't know how much that went into his decision, but I think that he felt comfortable coming back, that he was going to be taken care of and have the chance to get a little bit better and maybe improve that draft stock and then ultimately win the national title. And if you guys know him, that's what drives him.
What kind of an asset is that? It's not only his skill set and what he brings as a player, but someone that had that taste of Omaha and is motivated for a season like that.
Yeah, you can't replace experience. I mean, that's something that you don't know until you know, and we've got a good group in that locker room that have been there and have felt the thrill of winning in Omaha, and also that killer feeling of losing and that driving you into the next year. So having guys like him and Jason and Caden and Kent and all those guys that have felt that pain has really been a good motivating force for somebody coming in that didn't know these guys but has seen the way they work and the way that they want to be great. It's really good leadership inside that locker room.
In your first few months, just how's it been with the relationship building with the players and others on the coaching staff?
I think it's been good. I mean, the coaching staff's been great. I knew Caleb for a long time. Caleb Longley, he was at Arizona State with us as well, and have hit the ground running with Fox and Hutch and Jack Mahala and Jace Hutchins and all those guys. So it's a really good group. As far as the players, I think it's been great. I don't know what they would say, but I think we're in a reasonable place. We're having fun. We're enjoying ourselves, but at the same time getting work done and going hard. So I'm in a good place, and I think that the guys are, but you would probably have to ask them.
Do you have any Texas ties, any ties to A&M coming here?
Absolutely none. I took the job before I'd ever seen the town. So that was one of those things that I'd never been here before. When I was at LSU, they came to our place. So I didn't get a chance to compete here, which I'm glad that my first opportunity to play here will be as a home team and not the visiting team. But it's been great so far. I mean, obviously the people, I told my wife that my family just got here 2 weeks ago, and I said, I'm waiting kind of for the ball to drop or the shoe to drop, because everybody's just been so great to me, and it's continued with my family, this special place. And excited to be here is an understatement.
How would you kind of summarize your pitching philosophy? I know some guys are analytics, science-based, some guys are feel. How would you kind of morph that into, or talk about how that is your philosophy?
Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. So I started as a young pitching coach and kind of started to develop, kind of how I wanted to do things. And at that time, there were no analytics. So you were doing most things with your eyes and with experience and basing it off of other guys that you've coached. And as the analytic game has started to become more prevalent, that's something that I've got into. We've got a great analytics department here that's helping me on the things that I don't know. So I would say hopefully a hybrid of both of those. But for me, it's about the players, and it's about relationships with the players and getting those kids to believe in you. And once they believe in you, then they can accomplish anything, and that's kind of what I base it on. It's an individual player, and if you said, what's the philosophy, can you outline it for me? That would be hard to do, because everybody's different, and you need to treat everybody different and coach everybody different. And I think that's where my experience comes in, is just the ability to manage people and make sure that they understand we have their best interest in the forefront of our the way we do things.
How much of an emphasis is kind of nationwide recruiting with this coaching staff and tapping into the West Coast now and all over?
Yeah, the game has changed. The college game has changed so much in the last 6, 8, 10 years, especially in the SEC. I mean, I was a big proponent of that back in the day, and with the SEC coming and stealing all our players from the West Coast, something I wasn't a fan of, but that's something that this university can do. I mean, you can get kids from all over the country. They understand how special this place is, and it's got a national reputation, especially on the baseball end. So, we want the best players, and we'll have kids in here from all over the country, and you don't know who has ties to this place until you talk to them. And it seems like everybody you talk to has had a cousin that's gone here or has family in the area, or you just don't know. So, spreading that net as wide as you can is important, but also finding the right kids within that net is probably the most important thing.
And then how important for you and all the new coaches is fall ball going to be, just to kind of see what you're working with, really, against other competition?
Yeah, it kind of depends. I think that it's important for me because I need to learn the personalities of our pitchers. Obviously, with Mike being here, he's got a great feel, and you get great advice from him about who the kids are, kind of off the field and the struggles they went through last year and the success that they had last year. But for me, it's about just kind of finding out the mentality of what kids are capable of. The physicalness is kind of easy to see early, but learning what makes them tick is what takes time. It takes months, how to communicate with them, the things that help them make adjustments, whether it's visual, whether it's with just an analytical kind of component to it, kind of how do they adapt. Those are the harder parts. The psychology of it is what takes the most time, but the physical stuff is pretty easy to get in the first couple of weeks.
Were you surprised when you got the call from Mike, and just what was that kind of decision-making process like for you?
Surprised wouldn't be the right word. We had talked kind of through this process once the job opened, not about me coming there, but just him kind of calling me as somebody that was doing it at the time and was a head coach, and so we had a bunch of conversations about that. And then as the interview process for him got further and further, I was obviously interested, but kind of, if you've done this, you're kind of 50-50 on everything. Like, this is every summer that somebody's going to get this or somebody's going to get that, and it doesn't happen. So you really can't get too excited about anything. And then on the other hand, he gets the job, and now you've got a 12-hour window to make a decision. So you have to be prepared to make that decision. So it was quick. I think it happened. I mean, our conversations about me coming here was on a Thursday night, and I think I accepted the job Saturday morning. So it went really fast for us, and most of that time, if any of it was dragged along, it was to make sure the family was okay with it.
And how has your experience as a head coach been a value on this coaching staff so far, as Mike's kind of getting his feet wet in this job as well?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe good, maybe bad. It kind of depends on the moment, I guess. You never really have this thing figured out, but some of the little things that kind of surprised me are things that we're talking about right now. Mike's a great baseball guy and always has been, and has a supportive staff around him, so he's gonna be really good at it. But I'm just kind of there for whatever he needs in regards to kind of how it works, and especially some of the in-game stuff, and he's going to rely on me heavily for that stuff, and which I'm excited for, and part of the reason that I took the job, because I felt like we could communicate in that way. There wouldn't be an ego as far as whose decision it was, or kind of any of those things. It's what's best for the ball club.
How would you see him make that adjustment from assistant coach to head coach?
It's you got to understand, my last time with him was 2021, so he's grown a lot, and that's not to sound like he's wasn't ready for it at that time, but he's become a completely different person, and I was so impressed with his first press conference. Like, he handled that so well, and that was the first time that I saw him just kind of not grow up, but like, wow, this guy's ready for this. And I knew he was ready for it baseball wise, that was no question, but how do you handle the media? How do you handle kind of all those other things? And he crushed that. So those things were great, and he's been great to our team, and the guys really respect him, but love being around him too.
When it comes to Friday, I know Mike mentioned that Miles Patton's going to start.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the other names we can expect to see on the mound?
A little bit of everybody. I mean, we'll see Patton, we'll see Rudis, we'll see Grant Cunningham, the transfer, we'll see Caden Wilson. You'll see almost everybody. We have a couple of guys shut down just because of throwing last year, but I have it kind of scripted a little bit, but I'm also going to match up just a little bit with their lineup to try and get some of our, especially the young left-handers, in against some left-handed hitters and do some of that. So I'm not exactly sure who throws when, but we'll probably throw 12 guys.
So you didn't get to town and say, "Nah, I'm out of here."
No, I didn't. It was the opposite. I mean, other than the fact that when I got here, I think it was 105, but that was yeah, 95. I'm wearing a sweatshirt to practice today. That was the complete opposite, actually. Like, I mean, the people here were great to me, but just the entire town and the setup of the university was I was just impressed. It's hard to not be impressed when you land for the first time and you see Kyle Field and you just go, holy cow, this is something special. And it hasn't changed my mind over the last couple of months either.
You been to a football game yet?
Yeah, I've been to all of them. I'm not a huge stay at the game football guy. Not that I don't want to watch football, but I'm not a big crowd guy. But yeah, we've been recruits on the field, pregame and seeing the entrance, and I stayed for half of the first game, and it's an impressive. LSU was impressive, no question. Washington was unbelievable, especially the run last year with them on the football end of it. But I've never quite seen the passion that I've seen for this place. And it doesn't matter who's playing here. There's going to be 105,000 people. And that's something you don't see, I don't think, anywhere else.